This is Professional Services Group of Mercer County. If you haven't been here before, we meet every Friday morning at 10 o'clock. We have a variety of assets that are here to help you. We're here to help anyone who's either in the midst of a career change or looking for a new job, or God forbid, laid off from an old job. And if you're in the job market, we have things to help you. We have some really good speakers every week, as well as a website. The website is all one word, psgofmercercounty.org. And you'll see that on some of the slides. But on that website, you'll see several tabs going across the top and down the right-hand side. One of the things I'd like to point you to also is our job boards page. I think it's still called job boards, but it might be employment opportunities or something like that. But that has links to the HR sites of 1,700 companies in the 6-county area surrounding Mercer and the 6 counties around it. So if you are building your list of possible target companies, you can go there by industry and come up with some companies that you might not even know existed. The list is organized by county, so that gives you a little bit of geographic flexibility. Point you to that as a resource. Plenty of other resources, it's worth exploring. Okay. Meanwhile, back in Princeton, we are at the Princeton Public Library, who helps us out every week by providing us this space and the technical coaching from Nora. Shout out to Nora. And want to talk, the other thing that we have going is our LinkedIn group. Again, it's PSG of Mercer County if you search on LinkedIn. And that is a great thing to join. We have 1,700 members, and they're all from our group. And if you can share articles there, job leads, and if you want to communicate with someone else that's in the group, you don't need to be a first-degree connection with them, because the groups allow you to make that connection. So take a look at our LinkedIn group, ask to join it, and I think what we do is we check to see if you've attended one of our meetings, either virtually or here in person, and then we'll accept you. But you'll be in pending status to start. We have, let's see here. So for our presentation today, I will turn it over to Tamarra, our presenter, and at the end of her talk, she'll return the control back to me to wrap up. What we'd ask you to do is keep your audio on mute because it is now leaf blower season or construction season, or we don't know what kind of season, but it's noisy. So please give us all the courtesy. If you can unmute if you need to, but try to keep it on mute. And then if you have a question, you'll see in the upper right-hand corner a box for the chat. You can open that up and enter a question, and we'll be monitoring chat here in the room and make sure your questions get addressed. That way, we won't have a free-for-all if everybody's asking questions at the same time. And if you don't want to put your question in writing, just type the word question. We'll see that and we'll circle back to you. So those are the ground rules. David is off having a great time somewhere. We kind of know where, but he's somewhere in the Pacific Ocean, I think. So and that's about I really don't know what he's doing today. But in his absence, I'll try to fill his shoes and welcome our presenter this morning, Tamarra Causley Robinson. Tamarra is the CEO and founder of TCR Coaching Consulting. She is a certified professional and executive leadership development coach, a certified mentor coach, and a motivational speaker. Her mission is to create a massive movement of diverse professionals who are inspired and empowered to rediscover their voice, to have the audacity to make courageous choices, and to boldly take charge of their lives and careers. Since 2015, Tamarra has provided executive and leadership development coaching for organizations and individuals. She also partners with several organizations focused on growth and development of inner city youth in Trenton. Tamarra gained her coaching credentials through the Institute of Professional Excellence in Coaching. She is a certified master practitioner of the Energy Leadership Index. Tamarra is also a certified mentor coach through the Coach Cachet program and has achieved her professional certified coach credentials through the International Coach Federation. PSG of Mercer County is pleased to welcome back one of our favorite coaches, Tamarra Causley Robinson.
Thank you. Just have the round of applause.
Right.
I hear it. I hear everyone on the phone saying that as well. Thank you so much, Bill, for the introduction. Thank you, everyone, for being here today. It is my pleasure to be here. When I was talking to Bill in preparation for me to be here, I reflect on sitting in this room in the same place that many of you are, right? I think it doesn't necessarily matter where you've been in your life, the ups, the downs, the highs, the lows. We find ourselves in a place of needing and wanting some support to help us to get to where we're going. So I think it was like March of 2015. I don't know how I got to PSG Mercer, but I'm grateful. So whenever you all call, very rarely will I say no. So thank you. It's like being welcomed home. So again, thank you everybody for being here. I love to interact with you as a speaker and a learner, and sharing what the things I do and sharing what I learn and know. And so that all of us can continue to grow as we navigate this thing called life, as we navigate this thing called change, as we navigate this thing called growth. So no one's got the market on it, but I will share some things with you that once you think about it, you're like, oh, yeah, she's right about that. And hopefully to give you some guidance around how we can move things forward for you, or at least help you recognize where you are and how to then move forward. Okay, so we're all navigating change, and we want to make sure that our energy is the energy that will help us to be able to reach for a level of excellence. So like Bill said, raise your hand. If you have a comment, please interrupt. I want to make this as interactive as possible. So here's where we're going today. Just a high overview. It may or may not necessarily make a whole heck of a lot of sense to you, but it's okay. Like I said, we are living this thing out, and you will recognize yourself and probably others as we have this conversation. So we're going to talk about what the challenges are around change, energy leadership and what that is, practical steps that you can take, and some next steps that you can potentially, well, not potentially, I'm hoping and will encourage you, one step. I only ask for one that you will commit to making today in order to really embrace yourself as you're navigating change. So what is changing? This one slide I think changes every time I give this talk because there's something else that's stressing us out, right? So, COVID was a thing and is a thing. It's not as much of a thing as it used to be. I was your last speaker right at the height, right before they shut everything down. It wasn't my fault. But I do reflect on that, and that was a long 2.5 some odd years ago, right? So that is something that we're navigating. The gasoline prices, the dollar, being on a screen and in a little square. Do I go out? Do I come in? I was just talking to my friend before we started, Gary, and it's like, oh, the job market and there's opportunities, and then there's mergers, then there's acquisitions, then people are closing down, and there's a lot, right? And that's the stuff that's going on outside of our lives. Whatever, we have personal things that are happening in our lives. We have births, we have deaths, we have graduations, we have teenagers, we've got granddaughters, we've got grandsons. All of that is change. It is change. And it's funny thing about change, sometimes there are things that are extreme that make us, I won't say it makes us, but we find ourselves reacting certain ways, and we may not necessarily know how we got all the way over there about this particular thing. Whether it's something that makes us happy or makes us sad, still change in and of itself. And so what are those different reactions to change, right? Although this is like this little seesaw, it looks like a roller coaster, really. These are the different aspects of change. And when you stack changes on top of each other, you can be in one place about one thing and another place about something else. Okay? We're pretty dynamic people. We're multi-dimensional in many ways. And so, when I got the word that my organization was going to be completely outsourced, and I was in a leadership position, so I couldn't say anything to anybody about it. Yeah. Anxiety was probably at its height. Was I shocked about it? No, because there were so many things that were happening in my organization. I wasn't completely shocked until I understood they meant everybody. And that included me. Now I'm going back to denial and, but what do I do for my people? And I have to, where's the hope? Where is the enthusiasm? But I'm still changing. So just know that this is something that happens to all of us. We all react to change a little bit differently. Just know that you're on your own trajectory of change. As a coach, I can't make anybody change until they're ready. And when we even care about people, we can see that they're going through things. We can't make them see things different about their situation either, right? So as I talk to all of you, it's really think about for yourself, where might you be in this spectrum of change? And it's okay. Just being aware of where you are is a plus. Even if it's in denial, I want to believe that it's not happening. Okay, you said you don't want to believe it. That's a place. That's a starting place. Okay, just know that, like I said, it's up and down. It's highs, it's lows. It's every day, all day. And we often need support in order to get through some of these things as well, right? So one thing that I've learned even more so now over the last couple of years is that if there was ever a time that we need each other more when things are more, out of whack and crazy. Okay? If you agree, just type agree in the chat, thumbs up. Yes, I agree. I have head nods in the room, so I think I'm good. All right, so what is energy leadership? Because in all of these things, at the end of the day, change is necessary. Change is necessary. We don't often appreciate it when it impacts us in ways that we're not prepared for, but change is necessary, right? What if I mean, we're walking around with a computer in our pocket every day. That's like insane to me right now, right? I'm going to age myself a little bit, and I think everyone on the line can appreciate that we used to go to a corner and put a dime in a little booth called a phone booth and make a phone call. You know, how many germs was on that little, come on. It was a lot. And now we've grown, we've changed, we've moved. So change is inevitable. So energy and leadership. So energy in this sense, when we think about ourselves, energy is a way of understanding where we get our power, right? When you have a lamp, you go plug it in, it gets energy. How do you plug in? What is it? Where is my energy source? When you listen to me today, think about where is the energy coming from? Energy. Leadership. Leadership is the ability not only to lead other people, because we often think leadership is about somebody else. Leadership is about us. How am I plugging into my source for myself? How am I being a leader for myself? Energy leadership is about how am I able to harness my energy and use it to give me power. All right, that's energy leadership in a nutshell. But where is all this energy? You heard Bill talk about I'm certified as a energy leadership index, blah, blah, blah. I know it sounded like a lot. So I'm certified in this particular assessment that many professionals use to understand how they can be better leaders. Usually they're thinking about somebody else. When I'm talking to them, I'm talking about leadership for them and how you can impact other people through understanding your own leadership, okay? So energy leadership really is the filter that we use in order to view the world. So where does your energy leadership come from? How do you view the world? The way you view the world is through your experiences, is through how you were raised, is through how you are impacted by different things that are happening in the world, right? Think about when you were 2 or 3, most of us were following the dictates that our parents or whomever was in an authority figure, we were following their direction, right? We didn't have a choice as to what we were going to do. We were being shaped and molded. We had no idea, right? And then what happens when we become 6? We know the word no, and we use it quite often, right? And then the same thing when you become 16, all of a sudden you know no, right? And anyone who's dealing with a 15 or 16-year-old, you're like, I don't even like you right now. You don't know, but 16, you know. It's your view of the world. You are able to change how you're seeing a certain thing because of whatever it is in you that impacts your ability to choose. Then you become 21 and you think you know. Then you get to the 30s, you really know, and you know that you didn't know, right? But the thing about it is as you mature and as you grow, your ability to make changes and do what you do in your life shifts because of the way that you view the world. And everyone's view is different. Everyone's view is different. However, there are some things on the inside and on the surface that are very, very similar for all of us. So again, our energy comes through our assumptions and our experiences, and we put into that how we react to it, and then there we are. We're being. We're just being who we are. And so your perceptions. What is it that you see? Type in the chat when the first time you see this visual. What do you see first? So people in the room, what did you see first?
The older woman.
The older woman.
Young woman.
The younger woman, right, with the feather, right? Are either one of those answers untrue? No. It's just that what was your eye drawn to, right? It's just like if we were sitting on a jury and we were watching a movie or watching what happened, and you have to make up a decision. 10 people, same video, different perceptions of what happened. 10 different opinions you might get to.
Mara, looks like more people are seeing the younger woman.
More people are seeing the older woman than the younger?
No, we're seeing the younger.
More seeing the younger woman than the older woman. Okay. Awesome. Yes.
Yeah, younger.
Younger.
Oh, I see.
Younger is all he sees. Gary just sees the younger woman. That's awesome. But that's okay. It's just, you saw it. But again, the way that you view it is not wrong. It's your view, right? Just like I see it, I can see both of them. I love looking at these kinds of things. It stimulates my brain, right? So it's good. So there's two types of energy that tends to kind of be in our lives, right? There's anabolic, I'm getting a little technical right now, but you'll understand it better. Catabolic energy is the energy that's mostly associated with stress. When you hear about this, catabolic energy is not a bad thing. It is. It is what it is, okay? We experience it all the time. Fight or flight, that is the energy that, if you think about energy from a perspective of, it takes a whole lot of energy for me to be in it, and a whole lot of energy for me to work through it, whatever the it is, and a whole lot of energy to work my way out of it. All right? So it's destructive in nature because it can, when you're in it long enough, be destructive to you and potentially others. However, it's a great way to break out of things, right? Sometimes my mother used to say, I'm sick and tired of being sick and tired, right? I know Gary is smiling. He and I work with people who are tired of being tired. When you're tired of being tired, you're gonna get up and do something. That's that catabolic energy working for you. It works for you. It forces you out of uncomfortable situations, right? So again, not a good or bad thing, but just knowing when you're in it, right? So you have catabolic energy, and that tends to take away from you. And like I said, over time, it's not a sustainable thing to do. It's not a sustainable place to be. And these are the things that we often will feel when we're in that catabolic energy: fear, worry, you know, and many of us have things to be fearful and worried about, right? Exasperated. You're like, really? What are you doing right now? That is catabolic energy. All right? That's the flight part, the first part. And fight, you know, when you're at odds with something, when there's a conflict of some sort, when you have to put the gloves on, hopefully you don't have to use them on anybody, right? But that's what catabolic energy is, just recognizing that that's where you are. That's a great place to be, to recognize it, right? We'll talk about how to move through it. And then we have anabolic energy. And anabolic energy is that energy that it's a building up of forces. It's more forward thinking. What am I going to do about it? How can I tap into my creativity? How can I create momentum so that I can have more of what it is that I'm looking for? All right? You have the ability to see possibility. So a lot of times with anabolic energy, you are able to find ways over it, around it, through it, you know, breaking through. You see what you see, you know what you know, you know, you make it comfortable for you to get there. There may be some things that you'll tolerate. So that dog is really tolerating this cat right now, but they're both comfortable, right? Doesn't look like they're at odds. They're just having their way. But does the dog really want the cat underneath this? I don't know. Doesn't seem like he minds. Another type of anabolic energy is support. When you're there and it's really about supporting other people, helping other people get what it is that they want. You're not real concerned about yourself so much. You care, and there's compassion along the way. Caring and support, bringing people up. This next level is really about being able to see all possibilities. We all win. It's not necessarily just about me getting what I want and you getting what you want. It's about we're going to get there together. And being able to look for the possibilities. I'll put it that way. You know, and knowing that there's more than one possibility out there. Another space of anabolic energy, and again, this is higher and higher, you know, when you are allowing your intuition to inform you. There are times when we don't often believe intuitively what we're thinking about a situation. And a lot of times we will withhold what we want to do for things that are more logical to do. However, sometimes when we're able to step out on faith a little bit and go with our gut, the possibilities even become a little bit more endless, but we don't know. But that's another thing to be able to tap into, right? When you're talking about thinking outside the box, at this level of energy, there is no box. What box? You know, it's beyond the possibility of the possibility, right? And then another place to aspire to is to be at choice of any of the things that I've talked about today. Being intentional about being mad about it so that I can move through it. Being intentional about, you know what, I'm gonna do what I can and I'm gonna help someone else. And that's what I'm gonna do right now because that's what it is that's gonna help me to move through, to help me be at my best in this moment. The possibilities are endless, right? I might choose to just go sit down. I might choose to be like, I can't do it today. You know, I'll just go watch grass grow. Today's the day that I'm just going to take a rest on purpose, right? And that's okay. Whatever it is that you need to be excellent in any point in time. Alan, any reactions, any thoughts coming from our?
Yeah, it's been a little quiet as far as the comments in the beginning. People were definitely agreeing with what you were saying, but you know, opening it up to everybody. If you have questions, put it in the chat or raise your hand, and Tamara's glad to address those.
Thank you. Thank you, thank you, thank you. So you might say to yourself, yeah, that's great, Tamara. What you're saying makes a whole heck of a lot of sense, but how the heck am I going to get there? I need something to wrap my brain around. And so when I was thinking about this, I actually have this printed out and it's on my wall at home. I'm evolving, I'm growing, but there are times where my mindset about something is fixed, meaning I'm thinking from the left column point of view. I'm thinking that, you know, I'm thinking more about the challenges of what I can't do versus the more expansive things of what is possible. And a lot of times, if we're not really clear about where we are in the moment, it's easy to kind of stay in the space of, I don't know what to do and I don't know where to go. And staying in that mindset will keep you in a place where you physically, mentally, spiritually may not feel all that great. And that does not help you in your job search. That does not help you want to get up and continue to do what you do. It also has a way of impacting how you go about doing it, especially if you're in that fixed mindset. So for my audience out there, If you find yourself in that fixed mindset about some of those things, put agree in the chat. I mean, if I was home, I would be putting agree in the chat, right? But some of these things we have to make sure that we're realizing that these are the things that we do. And so sometimes when it comes to challenges, we want to avoid them. Avoidance is really not wanting to see, sometimes we have fear, and we know that fear is a part of that catabolic energy we talked about. Sometimes when you feel like your effort is unnecessary and that something you do, when you do it, is not good enough. So if it's not good enough, I'm not going to give it any more effort, right? What's another way of thinking about your effort when it's a growth mindset? A growth mindset helps you to get to a place of forward movement, right? So if it comes to skills, growth mindset, I can always improve, right? A fixed mindset around skills is, well, if I wasn't born to do it, I'm not going to be able to learn it, right? And we can think that, or it could be at my age, learn what? No, I can't do that. Or, you know what, I could always learn something new about that. Just changing your mindset about that can help to change your ability to stand in your energy around it, and it builds momentum. Okay? So growth mindset and a fixed mindset. These are things that to be aware of, and how do you move towards a growth mindset? Okay? Another thing.
Mary, you're getting a lot of thumbs up.
Lots of thumbs up, right? Does anyone want to comment and or share some wisdom? Feel free to unmute yourself and share. Okay, all right. Y'all are just gonna wait until the end. That's what I'm thinking. All right. And so a little bit more around mindset. I wish that they had just kept the order the way it was on the previous slide, but they did. Right, so with a growth mindset, I can learn anything I want to. When I'm frustrated, I persevere. When it comes to challenges, I want to challenge myself versus I don't like to be challenged. Now, do I want to be challenged every day? No. But guess what? If a challenge comes every day, that means I got to lean more into, I have to remind myself, I wanted to be challenged. Okay, I want to be challenged. I'm not going to look at this as a problem. I'm going to look at this as the opportunity. Where is the opportunity in this? Where is the silver lining in this? When I fail, I learn versus when I fail, I'm not good. Reminds me of an author, and I'm certain that you've heard of him, John Maxwell. Beautiful book that he talks about failure, failing forward. I read that in my mid-30s, and that was a game changer for me. Game changer. I would try to avoid failure, so I'm going to outwork. Here's me. You can't outwork failure. It's not possible, right? But I had to look at it differently. Once I looked at it, I'm like, oh, I can't wait to go make a mistake. All right, I did that wrong. Let me do it again the next time. Right? All right. Growth mindset and fixed mindset. And if this works for you, print it, keep it in front of you. It's a reminder to help you to get to the other side of a thing. And then there's the critic. Sometimes you have that little voice in your head that's saying, oh, but all you see is it's either this thing or that thing. It's either this thing or that thing. Pick one, right? An inner guidance versus an inner critic is that we recognize that there's complexity in the gray area, right? So anytime you hear yourself say this or that, ask yourself in that moment, what's in the middle? What am I missing? Who can fill in the gaps for me here? Because I can't see it. The answer is probably somewhere in the middle. Probably somewhere in the middle, right? One that also kind of sticks close to me sometimes. An inner critic uses guilt, shame, and a fear to motivate you. I'm going to do something because I don't want people to see me a certain way, so I'm going to do, right? If I fear that you won't hire me, I do things out of fear. I'm going to take this job because it's not the best job, but it's the only job, right? And it's okay until it's not, right? And you want to be able to use desire, love, and compassion to motivate you, right? I really want to do this, not I have to do it. Inner critic, inner guidance. Yeah. Have a question in the room.
Tamarra, this is Bill.
Yes.
When you're talking to people, your clients,
Mhm.
and you see somebody who's on the left side of this chart,
Mhm.
how do you make them aware that there's a different way to look at the world?
Yep. Great question. So the best way is with compassion. To ask questions around how they have come to see things the way that they see it. Because like I said, everybody watching that video sees something different, and I might see something different than they do. So I come with curiosity. I come with a space to just hold space for them in that. Because usually when people are talking to me, they might say certain things to some people, but when you're talking to a coach, it's a completely different conversation. I don't have any connection to you per se. I'm not going to love on you. I'm not going to be the one who's going to say, oh, it's okay, in a way that someone who loves you says that. I will come, like I said, with grace, but it's really about more curious questions about how they might have gotten to the place that they see what they see, that they do what they do, and acknowledge it, number one, because it's not made up, it's real for them, right? And then once they're able to kind of really identify the sticking point, and it could be that there's this inner thing that there might not be, they have a real fear of not, I'll use myself because I have a coach too, right? I don't, there are times where I really want to make sure that something is so right, so correct, that I won't turn it in, right? I won't move it along because it's not perfect, right? And it's like, okay, well, most people will understand that, but at some point I have to let it go and put it out in the world, right? And so helping them to see that, okay, it makes sense that that's where you are, but what would you need to think in that moment in order to do what will move you forward? What is it that you might need to feel about yourself? What from the growth mindset side of things might I be able to say to myself in order to move myself forward? It's better to be out in the world than to hold it in, right? And so it takes time. It's not like a switch you flip on and off. Some things are, and some things are deeper. But it really is just really listening and helping them understand what is that one thing that's really keeping them from seeing the other thing. Helping them to develop something that works for them to help to flip the switch, and help them to put some steps in place in order to make it happen, right? You're welcome. Because once that happens, coaches aren't coaches to be needed for the long haul. You need us for moments and we let you go. We check on you to see how you're doing, but it's really about you develop what you need for yourself and go out in the world and do your thing. Great question. Great question. So one of my favorite people, Oprah Winfrey, and this is really about the law of when you talk about energy, that you are responsible energy leadership, your own energy, for the energy that you create for yourself. And you're responsible for the energy that you bring to others. All right? So in other words, it's good for us to be aware of where we are in our energy. And we have to be responsible with how we use it. So I know that many people, and I've experienced this, where you have experiences with certain people in a room, as soon as they come in, half of the room is like, right? I got smiles in the room, so I know. Right? It's like, ugh. Right? So someone's not being responsible with their energy. But the same part, that doesn't mean that you can't be responsible for yours. So, hey, sometimes if you know what you know, I'm not going to let this person create a bad day for me. Not today. Right? But be responsible for your energy. Be able to claim what it is that you want for any particular moment. So an activity that you can take on for yourself. How do I flip the script, so to speak? How do I start to think about how to recognize, once I have recognized what my energy is, what are some things that I can do? So this is something I used to do at work all the time: start, stop, and continue. What are some things, what's one thing that I might start doing? Maybe it's I want to start just checking in with myself to see where I am in my energy today. Where am I? Maybe that's a start. Maybe it's, you know what, today I am determined to stay on the growth mindset path today, whatever it is. What am I going to stop doing? So one word that I have been working on, and I've done pretty good actually, taking out of my vocabulary completely, is the word try. There's no commitment in trying, so to me, when I say I'm going to try to do something, I'm not trying to do it. I really am not. So I told myself, either you're going to do it or you're not going to do it. But try is coming out of my vocabulary. I've taken try with me, and I've not seen one good thing come with try in my vocabulary for me. So what are you going to stop doing? Tamarra's not saying try anymore. And if you catch me, you already know I'm not going to do it. And then what are you going to continue to do? There's some things that you're already doing that's feeding your energy, and that's doing for you, and it's working for you. You're gaining that momentum. What's one or two things that you're going to continue to do? So start, stop, continue. You know, one of the things that I do with my clients and I do with other coaches and for myself is accountability. Find somebody, not the person that loves you best, but the person that you know will keep you to your promises. Share your start, stop, and continue with. Check in with them from time to time. Let them check in with you. How are you doing with that? Things will start to change. So what is your next step? Lots of steps there. Little legs. What is your next step? If you'd like to share, please do. You don't have to share what you feel like your next step will be. If you would like to share with the audience what your next step will be. What is your next step? Commit to something, one thing. One thing. What might be your next step?
Sonia said, just do it from 90, so.
I love it,
Reference to
Sonia.
your try.
Yeah, love it. Just do it. Just put that switch right in front of you. I always need a talisman. I need something physical to look at. Try not to clutter up my space.
Don said, lead, follow, or get out of the way.
Beautiful. Lead, follow, or get out of the way. There's a lot of That's a lot of level 3 going on in there. Move. I got things to do. Love it. Love it. Beautiful. And so what did you learn today? We're in a library. We learn in libraries. Yes.
Learned about possibility.
All right.
Possibility.
Beautiful.
Big impact.
That's a big impact. So Gary Landy, who is going to be next week's speaker, learned about possibility. Possibility, yeah. So expansive. So expansive.
Kathy had a comment,
Mm-hmm.
I guess a question too. She said, I like how you've described anabolic energy as moving you to a change. Do you have any advice as to how to shift that anabolic energy when it runs its course to the other kind of sustainable?
Yeah, I think, how to, when it's run its course, meaning is it more, I might need her to come off mute and ask that question because I'm hearing it in different ways. Go ahead.
Hi, Tamarra. I have experienced what you talked about, the anabolic energy, where you have this very strong push to make a change. Can you hear me?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, good. But then what happens for me sometimes is, there might be something that, like you say, it's not sustainable over the long term. And so how do you maintain that, kind of shift it to a more sustainable energy? I can't remember the exact words you described, but to me, that's the biggest challenge.
Yeah, great question. And so in all things, especially with anabolic energy, because it is that forward moving type of energy, and I'll take this to an athletic oh my goodness. I think y'all know what I'm trying to say. You need to rest. You have to find what that flow is. What's the ebb and flow? If someone's running a marathon, they're not going to be able to finish that marathon without some water, without being able to be refreshed and get that second breath, right? How are we taking care of ourselves enough so that we can go the long haul? And so it's really about how do you find those ebbs and flows when you're working through catabolic energy, the one that takes a lot of energy to move through. It's even that type of response squared, right? So you might stay up late at night. This is what I've been doing. I was telling my friends here, I was up late 3 nights in a row. So that means I really have to push harder. So what do? I have to find ways to rest in ways that will give me enough, just not enough to get through it, but to get over it, right? And so it's really about finding the rhythm, finding the thing that helps to give you some of that sustenance. And as well as, and it might be the little things that you don't necessarily think about that will give you a space of rest. I like going through walks. I love walking. In Mercer County, my God. The number of places we can go and see nature and just walk. And so when I'm really, really stressed, I might grumble about it, but I'll go outside and I walk for a mile or two and I'm feeling so much better. And then I can go back and then tackle that thing that really is that I feel like either I need to give more breath to or the thing that I need to push through. So I hope I answered your question.
Yeah, that's where I think I struggle, because when you're really getting a whole lot done, you just want to be able to be that superwoman all the time. And I think I get frustrated with myself, and that's probably exactly what I need to do, is to back off.
Yeah, put that cape away, girl.
Okay, thank you.
Put it away. I mean, it's great to be all of those things, and especially for women, because we do tend to take on a lot. And we've watched probably in our lives and in our families, other women who have done it seemingly with smiles on their faces, but you didn't see them grumbling about it. You didn't see them complaining about it. And we have to take care of ourselves in order to really persevere. So it's noting that, you know, the world won't stop turning. I promise you, it will not stop turning. If something doesn't get done, the world, nobody's going to stop breathing. It's going to be okay. Well, you know, and who knows, maybe somebody else will start doing it. Any other questions?
Another comment, this one's from Sonia. She said, the field is wide open out there. Step out and find yourself. That's what I would.
Sonia, all kinds of wisdom. I love it. There's all kinds of stuff out there. I mean, probably more now than ever. And fighting through the fear or maybe even the nervousness, maybe I don't have all of what is necessary to do X, Y. You won't know until you step out there and do it. Awesome. Beautiful. Beautiful. All right, well, listen, thank you. Always a pleasure. It's probably the quickest 50 some odd minutes of my life. And I appreciate you participating and giving me your time. And I'm hoping that you found something that will help you to navigate change. And the last thing I'll put out there as you prepare for next week's presentation is that your energy shows up in your writing too. All right. So as Gary is about to next week give you all his wisdom about resume writing and how to do that in an amazing way, get your growth mindset on, get your growth mindset ready. And with him, you'll be able to really be able to not tell the story, it's really to tell your story in the best way possible. All right, well, this is my information. If you want to get in touch with me, I'm here, and thank you again.
Tamarra, this is Bill. I am gonna rewind the tape 2 minutes. Sometime, I'm gonna make a comment and you tell me where it fits. Is it in the growth mindset, or is it the other one fixed? It's like sometimes I ask myself the question, what's the worst thing that can happen? You know, it's just not really forward looking, but sometimes it gets me through an obstacle. Can you comment?
Yeah, that's a great question. I feel like that's almost like Switzerland is right in the middle. Because what's the worst thing that can happen is not that it's not going to happen. There's no commitment either way. However, it depends on what your answer is to the question, right? So what's the worst thing that happened? Worst thing is that they could not pick me and blah, blah, blah. What will you do with it? You're probably on that fixed mindset side of the house, right? And what's the worst that can happen? The worst that can happen is maybe they won't pick me and that'll be the best thing because my next opportunity was the right thing, right? And so, yeah, it's almost like that's right down the middle, but I think it is how you answer the question. That's a good one. That's a good one. Perfect.
Okay.
All right. Thank you.
Well, thank you, Tamarra. That was a terrific 50 minutes. I learned a whole lot and it confirmed some things. And for me, I'm kind of a analytical sort of guy, so it helped me to put a structure around some of the things that I thought. So this is going to be useful in the future and kind of help me go forward. So thanks again, Tamarra. Okay, we already announced that, and this is, Gary's getting a lot of commercials here for his session next week, November 11th, developing your master resume. Now, for those 26 of you, or however many it is, who are out on virtually, come on down. It's always better to be here in person, and we'd really love to see you again and to have that contact. But again, November 11th, Gary Landy. On November 18th, Amy Raditz will be here. Amy is a motivational consultant, very inspiring, and I always feel better about myself when I walk out of one of Amy's presentations. So keep an eye out on the events calendar for her specific topic, and she'll be here in 2 weeks. Other meetings that are going on is one is the Breakfast Club of New Jersey. It's all one word, thebreakfastclubnj.com. Next meeting is on November 12th from 8 a.m. to 10 a.m. Virtual meeting, and the guest speaker will be Bill LaChance. Bill will be addressing the topic of money-saving strategies during a career transition. Now, a month or two ago, we heard Bill LaChance here, and he had a lot of stuff, and there was certainly more in his presentation to absorb than I could handle in one session. So Bill always has a ton of information. Another group is PSG of Central New Jersey. They meet Mondays at 10 a.m. Their web address is psgcnj.biz. And there's also PSG of Morris County. We are all kind of cousins organizations. We come from the same, it's an interesting story in itself, but we come from the same parent, the state of New Jersey Department of Education, or not education, of employment. Anyway, they're at PSG, M as in Mary, C as in Charlie.org. PSGMC.org is PSG of Morris County, and they meet Wednesdays at 9:30 a.m. So that's what's coming up. We'll tell David we missed him, and I think I'm speaking for everybody in the audience that we did miss him. But I think we carried ourselves proudly here today, and so he can rest assured that he can go away once in a while and everything's going to be okay. But anyway, that's it for the formal meeting. We'll keep the session open for you all to network virtually among yourselves, and we'll be disconnecting from the room and networking here in person. So when we probably have other questions to ask Tamarra that will be taken care of. So anyways, that's our meeting today. Thanks for coming, and we'll see you next week. Bye.